and his wife's right to counsel. The Maduros were back in court today requesting a dismissal of their cases and the criminal charges against them. They want the case dismissed because they say they can't pay their legal fees. We're now joined live by NTD's Arlene Richards at the courthouse. Arlene, good afternoon. Why can't the Maduros pay their legal fees?
Well, good afternoon, Don. So their attorneys are saying that the government is blocking them from getting access to funds from the Venezuelan government. And apparently the Venezuelan government is willing to provide them with funding to pay for their defense here. But the attorneys here, the defense attorneys are saying that they applied for this request, for this permission for them to get this funding. But the federal government here denied them that access. And they're saying that this is violating their right to counsel and they want this whole case dismissed. Now, on the other hand, the government is saying that, well, you've been sanctioned. The government of Venezuela, as well as the Maduros, have been under U.S. law sanctions for years. And because of that, they cannot allow for these sanctioned government to transfer funds to sanctioned individuals here in the U.S. But they're saying, we have an alternative. We have an exception here. You can use your personal funds. We will allow for that. Or you can find some other source of funds to pay for your legal fees. But they're saying that they cannot allow for a sanctioned government to then transfer funds to sanctioned individuals here in the U.S.
But Arlene, if that's true, if it's true that they don't have any money, what options do the Maduros have?
Well, that was discussed today. One of the things that can happen is that the judge could appoint them an attorney. They talked about appointing a federal defender to represent them throughout this case. But their attorneys are concerned about that because they say this is a huge case that's going to require a lot of resources. And it's going to be a lot of money that maybe the federal defenders will not have access to. They say, you know, the investigation is going to require them to possibly go to Venezuela to get witness interviews, and it's going to be very extensive, and probably it would be better for private attorneys to handle this because they would have the resources. The other thing is that the judge is saying that he might find a way to have the government reconsider their decision and allow for this money to come in from the Venezuelan government.
So, Arlene, the judge is strongly hinting that he wants the Maduros to get access to the Venezuelan funds. Talk to us. What are his concerns?
So, as we said earlier, he's concerned about their right to counsel. He's saying this is something that, you know, U.S. law allows for all defendants to have a right to counsel, and he's concerned that it would be a serious violation of their rights if they could not get an attorney. He's also concerned about the resources, as we talked about. He doesn't think that a federal defender will have the proper resources, and he also mentioned that federal defenders have a lot of cases that they have to handle, and would they have the resources or the wherewithal to be able to defend these defendants fully as they need. So he's concerned about the resources. He's also concerned about the sanctions. Now, this wasn't brought up by the defense, but the judge did say that he feels that these sanctions are no longer valid. He said the Maduros are here in the U.S., so they are no longer a threat to anyone. And he also, you know, in terms of human rights violations, that's what the sanctions are about. So he's saying they're here in the U.S. now, so they cannot cause any human rights violations in Venezuela. He also said that, you know, U.S. is doing business with Venezuela now, with the oil business. He's saying, you know, now that we're doing business with Venezuela, there's no national security risk or no concern over foreign policy. So he feels as though those things don't matter anymore and that this money should be released. He's also emphasizing that the right to counsel is paramount. He's saying the right to counsel is paramount. It should override these sanctions that they're talking about now. And he looked at the executive order that was originally prepared by President Obama, and he made a decision based on that. He's saying those things happened back then, but things have changed now. And now he wants somehow a remedy for these people to get this money.
So, Arlene, just real quick, one final thing. Did the judge make a ruling today?
He did not make a ruling, and it's because this is an unusual case, as he said. He's concerned about whether he has the power to ask the federal government or this agency to change their decision. He's not sure that he, as the sitting judge here, can say that, because the government is saying that this is the improper forum. This is not the right forum for them to request, for them to reconsider this decision. He's saying that has to be done by another agency where they would file a complaint against the federal government through some other venue. Now, the judge is also concerned that, is there another way that these defendants can get access to funding? Because the government is saying they think that they do have access to personal funding, but they don't want to get that money and pay for the defense. They want to rely on a third party. And the judge is saying, well, I don't know about that. He's saying, I have to think about it. This is a tough decision to make. He wants to make a decision as soon as possible, but he's saying it could take a little while.
All right, Arlene, it sounds like things are getting excited over there. Thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you.
An economist says the Federal Reserve